Hey, Peter, welcome to the Simplifying Entrepreneurship Podcast. It's great to have you here today.
Thanks, Pete. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm really excited about our topic for the day here today. And when we first connected, and you said, well, maybe it would be neat to do the cure or the idea to cure the cancer of a 2-minute task. First of all, tell us, Peter, what is a 2-minute task?
Well, it's the reason I specifically talk about it as the cancer of 2-minute tasks is because it's insidious and it's inside, it's all over every business, no matter how big or small. It's all over the business, and it's anything that you as a business owner or members of your team think constantly, but you're not aware of the fact that you do this repeatedly. Is it'll only take 2 minutes, I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
It'll only take 2 minutes, I'll do it myself. Or it'll only take 2 minutes, do this quickly. But your business it's a bit like water spilling on a floor, and it just goes. And soon enough, you find out that your business is actually constrained by all these 2-minute tasks throughout.
I love automations and all the different things around, how you can do that. And one of my coaches in the past, and actually I had him as a podcast. It hasn't been released yet, but soon to be released. We just chatted last week. His name is Ari Meisel, and I'm not sure whether you're familiar with Ari, but he has this platform around automations and doing some of these things, and he calls it OAO, which is optimize it first, automate it, and then outsource it.
Yeah.
And from that perspective, when we look at these 2-minute tasks, I'm always interested in sort of that process and how to get rid of it. And what's your take on sort of moving ahead that 2-minute task?
Yeah, so I'd say the key thing first is to become aware of it. And I always try for as much of the process as possible to forget about the tools. That's the last decision almost, is
Right.
to begin with just pen and paper. And then just as you go through your day, write down what you're doing and do that for a week. And then you'll soon realize, well, I'm doing all these little bits and pieces that on the one hand need to be done, but on the other hand, they don't really help the business to move forward. They don't deliver value to customers or anything. It's a bit like static background noise.
Yeah.
But it's just, and that's the first step, is once you then just recognize that they're there, you then, it's the reticular activator. Once you know they're there, you'll start seeing them everywhere. And then you can note them down, and then you start saying, well, okay, how can I, because there's two sides to the automation of it. Either you automate the task, or by using automation, you eliminate the need for that thing to be done at all, because lots of those things are being done only because the right systems aren't in place, not because it's a critical task.
Yeah. I mean, I like that idea too. And when I look at automations, and we look to outsource things, we could be outsourcing it to an automation or like to an actual, tool essentially, as opposed to outsource to either a virtual partner or to somebody else that we're delegating on our team, essentially, but taking it off our plate as leaders. And most of the people listening to this podcast are leaders in their businesses and stuff like that. So always thinking about how we can get our time back. And that's why I like this topic today. It's like, we need to, help these people get their time back. So once you realize it's there, then what?
Well, I'd then say you probably want to look at priorities, but you really want to split it into different parts of the business, because you don't want to start going scattershot and all over the place. And I was fortunate enough a number of years ago to be in a mastermind group for a day with Michael Gerber of the E-Myth, which was incredible. And he really highlighted these 3 key systems in the business, which is the client fulfillment, the client conversion, and lead generation. And it's sort of taking those things that you're doing, deciding which of those 3 boxes they primarily live in, and then look at, okay, is it something that actually has to be done, or is it something that we have to do because we don't have something in place that's appropriate for it? And then the next step from there is then to work out, well, okay, what is it? What can we use? Is it someone else we're using, or is it a tool we can use to automate or eliminate that process?
Yeah. And for people that sort of aren't techies and they're saying, well, I'm the only one, let's even say somebody might say, I'm the only one that knows how to do this. What would you tell
Mm.
them?
It is seldom true. And you would know this. There are things, as a leader of a business, there are things that you are uniquely skilled to do.
Sure. Sure.
Unfortunately, most of the time, leaders don't spend most of their time doing that. So
Exactly.
if you feel that you're the only one who can do it, then you're doing a disservice to anyone you might employ in the business.
Yeah.
And I think that's a check on yourself to just say, well, actually, there are few things I am uniquely skilled to do. Be aware of what they are, and then just let go of the rest.
Yeah. I love that. I call it love it or leave it.
Yeah.
Either, it's uniquely yours. You're really good at it. You're made to do it. You love to do it. It gives you energy. It doesn't take away energy,
Yeah.
all of those kind of things, and move out the rest, basically. Love it or leave it.
And it happens so often that the pieces that you want to get rid of it's the kind of work that gives someone else on your team energy.
Yeah,
It
for
drains
sure.
you, but it gives them energy. And it's like, well, why wouldn't you do them the favor of saying, well, run with this? Because
Exactly.
the truth is, and we don't necessarily always like to admit it, they are likely to do a better job.
Yes, they are. And I mean, as simple as something like bookkeeping. I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are still tied down into bookkeeping. And if it
Yeah.
isn't your true passion, it's like there are really good bookkeepers who are
Yeah.
very detailed and very, will get this stuff done and they love it. They love, you know, doing the both sides and getting the debits and credits together and that sort of stuff. And if that isn't you, then that would be one of the things you can release, basically.
Yeah, definitely. And
Cool.
just one thing I would also say is something that's underpinning all of this is that this is not the be all and end all, and this is not the focus of your business. The focus of the business is still the customer experience and the value you deliver to the customer. These things are just there as sort of supporting actors and the backstage staff to make those things happen. So don't put your head down and go into the automation of your business, forgetting about what it is you actually want to deliver to your customers.
Yeah, I like that. Peter, tell us a little more on your thoughts here regarding this idea of the cancer of a 2-minute task, and then we'll get in a little bit about and then we'll get in a little bit. We can edit this too, Peter. So
Cool.
no problems. We'll get in a little bit about Macanta as well.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's the reason I focus on this, and us as a business focus on this kind of thing so heavily, is because it's very unseen in businesses, and people put up with it for far too long.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always when you first start looking at it, then you think, well, what's the cost of the software if I'm going to use software? What's the time or opportunity cost of actually putting this in place? And it's the whole thing with the 2 minutes. Well, it only takes 2 minutes. It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
But you very quickly, your business doesn't have to be very big for you to get to a point where you realize, well, actually, yes, here's a 2-minute task. If I'm going to automate it, I'm saving 2 minutes. It's not worth it. But then you realize, well, actually, this is being done 10 times a day, 5 days a week, by 10 people. If you have a big enough team, and you can move these numbers around, that you've got
sure.
5 tasks, but it very quickly gets to, and we've got this calculation that we've done where you very quickly get to a point where you realize you are spending 104 without trying. You are spending 104 productive working days a year getting these 2-minute tasks done.
It's incredible, isn't it?
And then suddenly you realize, well, actually, what is it worth freeing up an additional 104 working days capacity in my business? I don't have to do an extra 104 days worth of work, but I'm freeing up that capacity. What will that do for my business and for my customers? And then you realize, actually, no, this really is worth digging into, because as your business grows, because it's that whole thing, I'll do it when we're a bit more successful. But the problem is, all you're doing, it's like you're blowing up the balloon and there's just more and more of it. And if you
Yeah.
get into the habit of doing this early on, you can get those initial savings. And then once you start seeing the impact of it, I can guarantee you don't want to let go. You want to, it's a bit like squashing bugs. You just constantly like, there's another one and another one.
Yeah.
And you find them on a daily basis. And if you get into a process of getting rid of them, it does just transform, because then the people who work for you get to deliver their highest value rather than just doing these menial tasks, which often most of the people on your team are overqualified for.
Yeah, I agree. And what would you tell somebody then who sees some of these in front of them, but doesn't know where to go next, or who to talk to, or how to get it done?
I would approach it very much as it's quite, I'm always amused by this. As business owners, it's as if a part of our brain shuts down, because we all live somewhere. And when the heating breaks down, we know what to do.
Yeah.
We go and find a heating engineer and ask around and get a reputable one, and we get our heating fixed. You don't think about it twice, but for some reason in our businesses, that bit of the brain doesn't come to work.
Yeah.
So I would start by that. Just start asking questions. Someone you know will know someone, and then there's things like Upwork, people per hour. There's loads of Facebook groups, everything focused all around this kind of work and how to get it done. And it won't be hard for you to find someone who can at least point you in the right direction, if not be able to help you out and get it set up if you're not, if you don't want to take on sort of the learning of the technical skill of it.
Yeah, that's great. That's great advice. Pieter, we are coming sort of to the close of our short episodes here, and I want to make sure that everybody knows what it is you do at, your day job. And it's great to have this conversation, but you're one of the founders of Macanta CRM, and tell everybody a little bit about Macanta and sort of what they do, because I know part of what you do has automations built into and takes away some 2-minute tasks, and a lot of those sort of things as well as one of those tools out there. Why don't you just let everybody know what it is Macanta does?
Yeah, so at its core, Macanta is a no-code platform that allows you to essentially build and configure a CRM bespoke to your business, but without getting involved in the complexity or the cost or the risk of having someone build a custom piece of software for you.
Yeah.
And you don't have to write any code. So you would understand CRM, it's your database, some email automation, and the like, sales process management, depending on what your business is. But then we take it a little bit further. We've got a very extensive automation engine that allows you to do calculations and internal data updates, and you can run with it. But two key pieces that sets us apart from general CRM systems is you create the data model to suit your business, rather than saying, well, here's my business, how do I fit it into an existing piece of software? And then a key piece is it knows about the human relationships to the data. And therefore, you can drive automation and everything with the intelligence of the human relationships involved, rather than it just being contact-centric, which most CRM systems are.
Yeah, I love that. I know on your website, I was going through some videos earlier today, and it kind of really outlined that quite well on how some of that would apply with regards to how your clients are and the data piece and all the different and the other suppliers that are coming in and how they can all be interlinked. So love sort of things that make life easier. And that's the whole conversation here today is, if we're sending out an email to the same email to 30 people, why are we not automating that? Right.
Yeah. Or at least use a template.
Exactly.
Which is a micro automation in itself.
Yeah. And I mean, there are still so many areas, I think, for so many businesses out there that people haven't even got down to looking at. And I'm really glad we had this conversation today. And I encourage everybody here to think about a couple of those things that will alleviate a couple of those 2-minute tasks for your job today. And so that you can make it an even better business and help your team as well. I mean, that's all part of this, right, Peter? It's like we're not only trying to alleviate our time, but we're trying to help our team alleviate their time, so everybody can move up, essentially, right?
Yeah, very much. And they can enjoy coming to work more because they're doing interesting, rewarding work rather than just basic things that a computer can do more reliably.
Exactly. I think that whole idea of let the accountabilities happen at the lowest level is the idea here. And sometimes the accountability is at the lowest level, and sometimes it's going to be actually a lot better done if you just let an automation take care of it, because you know it's going to happen, right? As opposed to leaving it up to sort of, happenstance by somebody on your team, let's say.
Yes.
Well, thanks again, Peter. I really appreciate your time, and I'm hoping we'll have a chat again in the near future.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we certainly will. It's great.
Make it a great day.